All right. Well, here we are. We are live on Facebook. This is Meryl Fury. We are here with Carrie Bruno, one of our board of directors members, and our most wonderful guest, Wanda Huberman. We are here to just get a little bit of information because the 75th NHA conference is right on the horizon. We can almost like smell it from here. So exciting, so exciting. And Carrie and I will both be going. So we wanted to take an opportunity to talk to Wanda a little bit about what's going on with the conference and to thank her wholeheartedly for her support of 6 Million Seeds and our whole child nutrition project. We would not be anywhere near the reach and the breadth of what we're doing if it wasn't for Wanda and the National Health Association. So let me say thank you right up front for everything you've done for us, Wanda. It's been amazing, just amazing.
Well, thank you, and right back at you. This is what this is all about, is forming collaborations that help bring more and more people to the knowledge that we feel is important. And there's so much of that information out there. So hoping we can get it to them in a format that they can use, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right to these questions. I know, we're just going to be on for a really brief time. I know that all of us have things going on, and Wanda is literally eyeballs deep in conference preparations, as she was saying earlier to us. So we know that you've been a champion of plant-based eating a really long time. NHA, like we said, this is their 75th conference, and they are the longest running, right, still viable organization that focuses on plant-based eating and whole food, healthy, no oil, no salt, sugar. I mean, serious, not half stepping, not adding in Beyond Burgers and Impossible Meats and things like that. So just really interested in, since you're such a huge supporter of ours, what is it that you, I guess where I really want to start is I'd like to open things up by asking you, like, what is your personal journey? How did you get to where you are now, working with and being the National Health Association the way you are?
So I'm finding that every decade older I get, my journey is longer, as is true with all of us. So trying to briefly surmise it, I met my husband in the late 80s. He's been involved in this organization and has been eating exclusively whole plant foods since birth in 1951. So he's a wealth of knowledge. His parents were a wealth of knowledge. And that's how I got started. Just getting a little bit of information when I met him. I grew up on farms in various locations and very traditional, like most of us. So it was a lot to absorb, and absorbing it from somebody I was dating meant I was like arm's length, like, okay, maybe. I was skeptical. Um, but as time went on, I just saw more and more proof. And back then, there was no internet, there were books. And so I did a decent amount of reading, but I was a single mom, working two jobs and going to college when I met him. So not a lot of time left over. He would prepare meals. He was also a single dad. So we were both raising young children on our own. The girls were 3 and 5 when we met. Those girls are 37 and 40 now. So quite some time ago. And he would just call and say, I've got dinner made if you want to come over after work and let the kids play. So they talk about food being the way to a man's heart, but convenience is the way to our heart, right? So that surely worked. And just subtle changes over time, but nothing really significant. I guess I went vegetarian by the time we were married in 1991. And even that was a journey. And so there'd be times I'd go to a conference, I'd be really motivated, I'd do it well. And then my work life would get busy and I'd be traveling and I would accept processed crap that is easy and convenient and keep going.
Mhm.
And it wasn't really, so that's the yo yo that so many of us were on. Fortunately, I didn't have health issues on that yo yo. And that by the time I was in my early 50s, I had was never really overweight. I gained weight when I changed my way of living because I allowed so much highly processed food. I went vegetarian, not vegan. So in 1951, I'm hearing some feedback. Do you?
I do not.
Okay, let me put headset. Well, I'll just go on if I'm the only one. So in 1951, in 2011, I just thought, as I'm getting older, I really need to take responsibility for my health, and I can't just keep going along. And I was feeling fatigued and a little bit of mind fog, and so I went out to True North. And for those that don't know, True North is a residential center where you can go and eat healthy food. You can go and do a juice fast, or you can go and do a water fast. And I went out and did a 19-day water fast, which was a major neuroadaptation. That was something that just really helped me. Education along the way, I committed that that's it. I'm going to exercise, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to eat healthy, and I'm going to take responsibility for my life. That was my aha moment after going on that roller coaster. And within 6 months of giving up dairy, oil, salt, and sugar, I easily dropped 50 pounds till I was at my weight. I've easily maintained that. Although even now, I get really busy and it's easier to eat higher fat foods that are 100% compliant, but not compliant in the amount. I'm substituting that for the time it takes to chop a salad, for instance. So it's a journey for all of us. And I'd like to say at the NHA, we provide the gold standard. We talk about optimal eating. We provide optimal dining options at our conference. We fully understand plenty of people are on that journey. There is never a destination. There's always room for improvement and learning and changes. So we would like to welcome everyone, wherever you're at on that journey, and how we can help so that you get your best health.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is a journey for sure. For those who may not know, can you tell us more about your involvement in the NHA and what role you play?
Sure. So I had another career for 30 years. I was a regional claims manager. And in 2020, just before we realized what COVID was going to do to our world, I took an early retirement and there was a need for an executive director. And I thought I had the organizational skills that I could do that and help grow the organization. So I retired, took on that role. And sure enough, that year there were no conferences. We are a nonprofit. We sell nothing other than a very inexpensive membership to our organization. The conference is our one opportunity to try and raise funds so we can keep going year after year. And that conference was like just cut my legs out from under us. And so, like everybody else, we figured out how to keep going and eventually went virtual. And we've just been growing ever since. We have since I came on board, we've been able to add the health science podcast, the health science biweekly newsletter, the NHA travel, and our conferences are growing bigger. Every year they're sold out, and every year I move to a bigger hotel and they keep selling out. So this year we have maybe 370 people registered. And about 11 of those are children from the ages of 4 to 13. So that's really exciting that we're getting families. And that's a personal goal of mine. If we don't encourage the families and the younger people to come, whether it's in person or virtually, then I'm not going to reach my personal goal. And my personal goal is to be sitting at the 100th anniversary celebration in 25 years as a complete guest with enjoyment.
Mm.
The goal is to the organization to bring in younger and younger people. Fortunately, the medical field is growing that way. There's a huge amount of young people. We provide 2 medical school scholarships to students to encourage them to get this information early on. And I think we're on track. I'm really optimistic about the education that the NHA is providing.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, the older guard in the medical community is not so very open to the values and the importance of using food as medicine.
Mm.
But where we're finding some traction is among the younger medical professionals who are coming in and they're seeing the treadmill that goes on. You know, what happens when people start with the medications and the procedures and the treatments, and it just doesn't ever get any better. I think it's amazing and wonderful that you're providing an opportunity for medical students and medical professionals to get this education and to actually experience what it is, the food and the value and
Yeah.
just the people who are presenting at the conferences are top notch, wonderful, wonderful, good stuff. And I'm so happy to hear that your conference is sold out. That's a great problem to have.
Yes.
Beautiful, you know. Next year you'll have to, you know, rent out Disney World or something like that.
I know. And you know, that's an interesting problem. I probably will not go any bigger because you were both at the conference last year, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. We had about 280 people last year. So we're maybe about 80 people more this year. I like the intimacy. I like that when you go to lunch, if Dr. Campbell has an empty seat at his table, you're going to sit and have lunch or dinner with him. I like that people get to know each other. It doesn't feel like you're in amongst 1,000 people. You get to meet and greet and network. And for me, when I was learning this lifestyle, maybe a little more important pre-COVID, but I don't, or pre-internet, I don't think that much more important. I think we can get a lot of info online, but that one-on-one connection, getting a hug from somebody, it just can't be beat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Totally. You know, I want to take that as a segue into the next question. And actually, I'm going to put up uh, our ticker for people so that they can see how to get virtual tickets to the conference. Yes, we do get a little portion of the proceeds from this. Wanda is very generously offering proceeds for our nonprofit. If you get virtual tickets through this link, which is now crawling across the bottom of the screen. But at the same time, I'd love for you to say just a little bit about what people can expect. You already said intimacy and, you know, being able to sit with, you know, the different presenters. Tell us a little bit more about what people can expect at the conference.
Are we going to talk a little bit more? You mean virtually or in person?
Well, both. A little bit of both. I mean, virtually was kind of what's available for people who don't
Yeah,
have.
let's talk first about virtually, and then you can ask me questions of what maybe I did. I already covered there's a children's person in person. I just said virtually, and I'm going to run through in person because that'll be quicker. And for those that come live on Thursday night, Vitamix is doing a wonderful presentation and a film that's all going to be available virtually. You just won't be able to taste the items that Vitamix um, is going to demo and provide in the taste testing. And Friday morning, we have 5 chartered buses, and we are taking people. Vitamix has never opened up their museum and homestead to the public, and they are opening it up for the first time ever to us. So we're going to have people going in. They're going to meet the Vitamix chef. They're going to go into the museum. I'm working really hard to have a camera team there so we can share that virtually, if not the entire thing, at least some of it. And then there'll also be hikes and with the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And then Friday, you'll come back, you'll have lunch, and we'll jump into our conference schedule. I have the schedule online at my website, which is healthscience.org. And if you go to healthscience.org, there's tabs at the top. You click on conference. The drop down will be 2023 conference, and you page through that. That will have that'll have the schedule. I am changing the schedule, so watch for the update. It's really going to update the schedule and tell you what each speaker is talking about. So that's going to be nice for those coming virtually. So maybe they can plan their weekend. The virtual people will have, as will our in-person people, by the way, but virtually it's more important because I don't expect anybody's going to have time to sit at their desk or they're on their phone from Thursday to Sunday. So we're going to offer you replays for a year. But look at what's happening that strikes your fancy, that resonates with you, because this is not a Zoom meeting where you sit back and don't participate. We've really invested in a nice platform that you can participate. You can go visit exhibitor booths. You're going to have your own swag bag that's going to have digital content valued at $1,500. You're going to hopefully be able to participate in raffles. I'm pretty sure I'm getting that worked out. And when we stop for meals, so dinner is 2 hours every night this year. I've allowed a little bit more time for that community connection. And while we're doing that, our virtual team is going to be doing backstage things. So you're going to get content as a virtual attendee that our in-person people won't even get. So perhaps we'll pull Dr. Joel Furman aside and we'll say, our people have really been curious about ABC, and you'll get a little 10-minute talk with just Dr. Furman, or maybe one of the cooking demos. So what you're going to have is you can chat as to what's important to you, what you'd like to see. And our virtual team is going to be noting that, and we'll try and provide that. You'll be able to fill out your profile as a virtual attendee and network one-on-one. So if you want, almost like a speed dating thing, if you want to know, is anybody else in here trying to raise, 2 kids under 10 or twins, and how, or teenagers, and how are you doing that? Somebody else is going to say, me, and you'll be able to hop off. Some of our either exhibitors or influencers, I don't know, Meryl, I bet you might be doing this. You're going to have a room available for up to 25 people. And you may be able to hop in and just have a private session. So if you were really curious about what Dr. Campbell had to say, and there were a few questions, you're going to write it in the chat, and we're going to have a team of people monitoring that. And we're going to do our very best to get our virtual audience that information. And on Sunday, when we have a couple of Q&A panels, and even Friday and Saturday night, I've allowed enough time for our keynote speakers to have Q&A. You're going to be able to write your questions in the chat session. And as I or one of our staff people go around with a microphone and give a number of people attending in person the opportunity to ask questions, our team's going to be in the back of the room with the computer monitoring your questions. And I'll run back and the team will say, oh, John from Texas wants to know this. And that'll be asked right to the presenter in real time, and you'll get your answer.
Nice.
So we're really hoping that you feel like you're there in every way. I have been working all day on getting the e-cookbook done. And if I can have the e-cookbook done, I'm going to throw that in your swag bag, and you'll have all of the menus and all of the recipes of everything from Thursday night of what Vitamix is demoing, all the way through Sunday from our cooking demos, and to all the food we're serving at the conference. So you get your own cookbook if you want to make something and eat along with us. Any way you guys can think of that you want to be interactive, all you have to do is let me know. If I can make it happen, I will. It'll be a very fluid process. Carrie and Meryl will be there. They'll see things and they'll be able to say, Wanda, can we do this for our people? We can do it. You'll get it.
Perfect. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know that our focus is on child nutrition, and our programs focus on helping parents find simple solutions that give their children the best nutritional and physical and emotional health. And I know that you have a lovely granddaughter. I enjoy seeing pictures of her. How have you involved, or have you been involved in her life and exposing her to this lifestyle? How has that been?
I love that question. So last night, I actually have 2 step-grandchildren as well that are 19 and 21. And then my baby granddaughter will be 2 in July. So the step-grandchildren were preteens when I met them. I've had very little ability to influence what they do. But they know what I do. Now that they're older as young adults, that's a whole different level of information that's nice. My granddaughter was nursed till 13 months and then just started eating table food prepared in a manner that was age appropriate. And so she's staying with me this week. She stays with me quite often. and I babysit at least 1 or 2 days a week, and she loves all the food we eat. She has a toddler tower and can't wait in the morning. She climbs up on it and she's saying, eat, eat with sign language and pointing to the Vitamix, putting
Oh,
her kale and her spinach and her mango and she puts it all in the Vitamix and then presses the button and just holds it till it quits vibrating and claps and drinks down her green smoothie, shares one with Papa, and so proud of making her green smoothies. And so she's already helping in the kitchen and she's been exposed to all the food. Now, her parents are not completely whole food plant based. I'm sure I'm not alone as a grandparent in that. And the best I can do is have her enjoy it and make it fun. And I do realize as she gets older and her taste buds get used to maybe more foods that are more palatable, I just have to keep making it interesting and making it fun. And so far, it's been keeping her involved. But last night, I had her, both my daughters, one son-in-law, and all three grandchildren over, and they they'll ask for certain things. So I learn what they like, and they asked me to make basil vegan lasagna or
ooh.
pesto mushroom vegan. So it's a pesto sauce is one layer, and then I mix in spinach and steamed veggies and mushrooms as another layer. And I just had a salad and that. And then I have a champion juicer, and they all got to pick the flavor of ice cream they wanted. We had ice cream for dessert. They all loved it. So it used to be that when I had things, they would ask to bring their own food, and they don't do that anymore. They're more respectful, and they've picked a few favorites. So I have to be willing to make the favorites, and of course, there's nothing I'd rather do.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like so much fun, making it like a whole family thing and everyone getting
And the,
involved.
and the 19-year-old who just got out of 2 years with the Navy, eating who knows what, and she has a month off before she's stationed on a ship for the next 4 years. Is like thrilled to eat anything homemade. But she was like, you made this? I think she's so used to things out of a box. And I'm like, I made this. I thought that was great.
Wow,
Yeah.
so nice. Tell us a little bit too. You mentioned before about the children's program,
Yeah.
and in keeping with our theme about children and children's enrichment, education, and encouraging them to eat as many fruits and vegetables and be as connected to this whole lifestyle as possible. Tell us a little bit about what you have planned for the children's program coming up.
Right. So that is so fun. I started creating, in years past, I've just had a few extra things for them and they go swimming and hiking. But this year we're getting more and more people like Meryl and Carrie that are willing to give a little presentation. And the children, there are 11 children between the ages of 4 and 13. So that's a bit of a wide stretch, but we make it work. And this year we have three cooking demos, two things we're going to combine. They're going to get dirt pudding and gummy bears made. And in that same presentation, they're going to have shaved ice with flavored fruit over it, like a snow cone. Another food thing, they're going to have ice cream sundaes where they'll have an ice cream made and get to put their own toppings. They're going to have somebody doing face painting. I'm going to do that before dinner one night so they can come out at dinner and be proud of their face painting. They loved that last year. We have somebody taking them foraging on a hike. You might know what you're going to do and tell them, Meryl, because I'm not clear on that. What are you doing with the children? Do you know yet?
Oh, so I'm planning on getting the children to experience other species, nature, and connect to nature by looking at different animals and what different animals can represent, what their strengths are, what their traits are, and maybe they will pick an animal that they like really closely, and they can learn about what that animal represents, and maybe learn about what strengths you can gather from learning about animals.
I love that. And so I have two adults that are leading this program. Fortunately, again, it's small enough that everything's on the same floor. They'll have The kids will know where their parents are. There's easy access, but I find very quickly, like by Saturday morning, the children aren't even eating with the parents. They're eating with themselves. The parents don't have to worry because everything is acceptable. And as much as I talked in the beginning about the importance of us connecting, how it's so important for these kids. My children grew up going to these conferences, and as adults, they're still in touch with some of the people. But these children go to school or they go to parties, and they are sure that they're the only ones in the whole world being raised this way. So it's nice for them to connect, and it's nice for the parents to be able to connect. And some of these same kids come back every year, and I've already gotten a call from one of the 11-year-olds saying, "Oh, is this one coming back? I'm really hoping to visit with her again." And she is. And so they're connecting, and it's really quite nice.
Yeah. So when you think about the vision of our world and the health of the people all around the world, what is one of the biggest wishes you would grant to anyone seeking answers about what they can do to heal the world, heal themselves, and make it a better place for our children?
Right. I think it is food. Taking one step at a time. For me, the hardest thing for me to let go of that I look back and regret was dairy. I wish I'd let go of dairy a whole lot sooner. I just didn't comprehend that that was also hurting animals. And, I put up a wall. There was no reason I should not have comprehended that. But I didn't allow that to sink in. And so I did dairy far longer than I should have. And I think there's clear health consequences for eating too much dairy. So certainly the compassion for animals to not want to eat them, but understanding that we can control what goes in our body and that it's done for love. And if we can teach our children that it's okay to love yourself, and taking care of yourself means eating food that nourishes your body. And so I told you when I started this, I'm dating, I'm working 2 jobs and going to college. I didn't take enough time to educate my oldest child about what I was doing versus Mark was raising his child, and every day was an education. So the older one they were raised most of their childhood together. The middle child who started from birth still eats this way, and the oldest one doesn't. I didn't fully come around till I was in my 50s, so I haven't given up on any of my kids. They'll learn and they'll have their own life experiences. And I think that's another important lesson as a parent, whether it's your grandchild or your child, that we have to allow them to have their experience like we had our own. So my most important thing is just providing food and trying not to make it so difficult, keeping it simple enough that they feel like they can do it, even if they just do it for breakfast to get started.
Oh, looks like we lost Carrie a minute. Hold on, there she is.
Good. Hi, Carrie. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's so true. You can't force your children to do anything. All you can do is expose them to the wide variety of possibilities and explain to them the virtues of one, and maybe the detriments of others. So, yeah.
I'm not talking about it nonstop. I'd like to think my life with my children, my grandchildren, my world in general is much broader than what I eat or how I live my life. I do all that to have that broad life. So the kids can see I'm physically active, I'm traveling, I'm hiking, I'm doing all that stuff. So I hopefully that's the life they want when they get into their 60s and 70s.
Isn't that the case? Isn't that the case? So true. So before we go to the last question, could you just give even just 5 for people who haven't seen? Tell us just 5 of the presenters that you have that will be at your conference this time, and you'll see them
It'd be hard to
virtually.
hold it to 5, but I will do 5. T. Colin Campbell, cardiologist Kim Williams, New York Times bestselling author Joel Furman, Harvard-trained orthopedist, father of 3 young children, Stefan Esser, grandson of one of the founder doctors of our organization, 4th generation being raised vegan. I get one more, Frank Sabatino, just an energetic, men that host our podcast. So if you tune into the NHA Health Science podcast, you'll get a heads up on Frank Sabatino. If that was the only 5 people you saw, it would be a great conference.
I totally agree. Those are some world-class names you have there. So we're going to wrap it up. This has been awesome, Wanda. Thank you so much for sharing with us and our audience. Tell us again when the conference is, and I'll share this. The link is still running on the bottom so people can actually purchase the virtual tickets. And I can also share the NHA.
Healthscience.org. Is that what you have?
Yes, here.
Okay. I haven't used nationalhealthassociation.org, but I'm
Oh,
told
okay. Well, here, let's go with this one instead.
right. I feel more
The
comfortable.
magic of digital
Yeah,
work.
healthscience.org is better. So yes, I believe that we're having a meet and greet, that if you register pretty soon, like register early, because we have an early bird rate that's going through June 10th. And if I look on my calendar, June 17th, we're all going to have a meet and greet on Hopin at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So as long as you're signed into the platform, you'll be able to check out the schedule, see who the speakers are. The exhibitor booths, just like when you appear in person, if I were to show up early to the conference, I'm not going to see any exhibitor booths. You'll see them when we go live, I believe. You'll see our sponsor booths. But it officially will start on the Thursday night at 6 o'clock for the Vitamix presentation, followed by a film and a Q&A afterwards. And it's going to go all the way until Sunday at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So buy it early. Buy it from Meryl and Carrie's link at PBNM, the one that's scrolling at the bottom, because they too are a nonprofit. And it's very difficult to fund nonprofits and do all the amazing work they're doing. So I am thrilled that the NHA, when you purchase through their link, can help fund their organization as well.
Yeah, thank you. So generous. We really appreciate your support as always, and all the work that you do to keep the children of the world healthy and happy and growing up strong.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you again in June. So
yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to it. We're driving this time. So
yes.
Oh, fabulous. Very good.
yeah.
All right. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
Wanda.
you for having me. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.